The Brand X Podcast is sponsored by Audio Editing Solutions. Editing your podcast, just not your thing? Go to audioeditingsolutions.com and see how affordable professional audio editing can be. Welcome to Brand X Podcast. I'm John.
And I'm Deuce.
And how was your weekend, buddy?
Weary I am at she who refuseth to cast her fair light down upon us, to light our way and uplift our spirits.
So you mean you're tired and depressed of clouds in the fog?
Well, yes.
I hear you. All right. There was a lot of stuff I wanted to get done this weekend, and it was because, I tried to get some stuff done, but you're right, the weather was kind of,
"'Tis far too frigid to rejoice in the wild, and much too boggy to till the earth, though the estate becomes overwild, and the grass, lo, is verily overly verdant these gray days."
So you mean you can't work in the yard because it's cold and everything's wet?
Yes, it's too cold and wet outside.
So what did you do since you couldn't go outside?
I tried to watch a match of champions, our patrons clad in crimson and white. Yea, though mighty that they be, victory eludes them against the aborigines from southern climes.
So you mean the Phillies lost to the Braves?
That's what I just said.
I tried to watch it, but it was tough because...
Verily, for now 'tis twi that our patrons have fallen, their mighty wickets gone silent against their foe.
Yeah, the Braves beat them 2 games in a row because they're not hitting the ball.
No, they're not hitting the ball.
And to be honest with you, that kind of speak, that's why I can't watch Game of Thrones.
Yes, you had mentioned that before. I said, but that's not really real speech that they used back then. That's what I label Hollywood speech.
Okay.
That's how they think everyone spoke back then.
Well, there's not really anybody around to kind of, I guess they would use writings from that time.
Yeah, well, no one really spoke like that until Shakespeare. And
he's the one that screwed it all up?
Well, he was the one that started writing English down. Up until then, it was just everyone spoke Latin or French in England. So.
Oh, I got you. I tried to watch the show. I always like to watch, have a show on Netflix that I watch. I kind of binge watch. Right. And Vikings is the show that I'm watching right now. And I watched the first episode, and I don't think I can. I'm going to try a couple more episodes, but this same kind of.
Well, that's on the History Channel, correct?
You know what? It's on Netflix. So when it's on Netflix, you have no idea what channel it's on.
Okay, yeah, I thought it might have been a series on history, but you're probably, I'm not sure. It's, if I don't know, I'll tell you, I don't know.
It's a great show. I mean, I love the way it's portrayed. You actually feel like you're back in that time. So they do a great job with it. It's amazing.
Right. Now, are they speaking what I call Hollywood speak?
Yeah, they're doing a little bit of Hollywood speak there.
Yeah, now, see, that's a total anachronism because the Vikings were
Nordic.
Yeah, well, not only that, but they were kicking ass around like 900 AD. So English, as we know it, was totally unrecognizable. So
again, they would speak a different language than English, but thank God they're using English. But I understand what you're saying.
But they don't have to flower it all up with Shakespearean English.
It's hard for me to. I really dig into a show when I watch it. I really get into it. And when I have to go back and say, what did he say? What does that mean? What's going on here? It gets on my nerves.
Also, if they use, not like I said, I don't watch it, so I'm not sure. If they use a word, an Old English or Middle English word that has fallen out of usage, that can leave you scratching your head.
Yeah, I see what you're. But one thing I do like about the Vikings is, back then, men were men. You know what I mean?
Right.
There was none of this, if you said something, there was none of this bullying stuff or, men were men. If you said something that someone didn't like and they took you to task on it, there could be fisticuffs or death.
Right. That's a self-correcting behavior. If you're going to act like an asshole, somebody is going to step in and correct that.
That's right. So, and I think that's one thing that this podcast here should do. I think we should embrace our manliness because do you feel that being a man now is almost vilified? When you want to be a man?
I've been saying that for quite a while, and the way I say it in company sometimes does not endear me to people. But, basically I've been saying...
Are you doing that speak again?
Well, no, that's just the way I usually speak. But what I would say in break rooms or conversation, and it's not the most charming way to put it, if you come into this world with a cock and balls attached to you, you are always going to be the son of a bitch. So, you are just always attacked no matter what you do. I mean, sometimes it's as simple as like you hold the door open. Well, now for a woman, now you're a misogynist and I can do this myself. But if you don't do it, you're an uncivilized clod.
Right.
And you have no manners.
It's like we can't win.
Yeah. So now what do I have to do? Do I have to like drift back 50 feet and let all the women go in the store first so I don't have to put myself in that position?
Yeah, I just think we should embrace our manliness. Like with us, we always would go, we'd have a steak fest where we would go and grill steaks and have macaroni and cheese and stuff that was not good for you. Drink beer. And we had, what was the iced tea in 141 rum called?
Hammer.
Drink Hammer, which is iced tea with 141 Bacardi rum.
151. Light it on fire first, throw it in there. You want to make sure it's burning because there's nothing more manly than flaming rum.
Right, exactly.
Being dashed into your iced tea.
Right. So, and I'm not a fan of Hammer. Don't get me wrong. I mean, you guys drink it, and that's fine and all, but
I'm more of a beer guy.
Yeah, that's true.
I remember the one time, not to interrupt you, which I will do constantly.
Okay.
I remember Don up in Tioga really getting
hammered,
pretty screwed up on Hammer.
Right.
He was throwing shit at other people, and they were getting petulant and testy. And it was a scream.
Yeah, even that. We live right outside of Philadelphia in New Jersey. And we would travel to north central Pennsylvania, where our friend Don had a cabin. Well, his parents had a cabin. And we would go up there for like a week, and there was nothing to do there. There was like 2 TV channels, maybe. And it was really hard to get.
Yeah, forget about getting a radio station during the daytime. You had to wait until night when the radio reception got better.
Right. And we would go and we would hike and we would bring food in and we would cook and we would shoot guns and we just did. I mean, it was a half-hour ride into town. It was a 10 to 15-minute ride to a road that was paved.
Right.
I mean, this was a dirt road we were on.
That was Route 249 was the nearest paved road, and forget about bringing a nice car up there. I mean, if you thought you were going to keep it clean up there, you were pissing up a rope.
Yeah, I mean, it was horrible. So, I mean, not that it was horrible, but I mean, it wasn't like around here. So
that was part of the charm.
Yeah, we would go up there, and we would be like men. We would hike. We'd get up in the morning, we'd have breakfast, and we would just take off and go up the mountain, and we would hike to wherever, go into the ravine, come back around, and do all that kind of stuff. And that was fun. We were men.
You made the Brand X pancakes.
Oh, my God, the Brand X pancakes. I forgot about the Brand X pancakes.
Oh, I got that picture. I'll tell you what a Brand X pancake is. It's probably about 72,000 calories because it took up the entire saucepan, and it would be like about an inch thick, and you would just carve an X in it while it was still kind of gelatinous before you flipped it over. And when you took it out, you had this nice X right in it. And it was awesome.
It was the size of a frying pan. You're right. It was about anywhere between a half inch and 3/4 of an inch thick. And it could soak up a half a bottle of syrup.
Oh, yeah. We went through syrup that day. Like, what the hell happened to the syrup? We had to go back into town and get, like, syrup. Yeah, we had a great time. Thanks for the use of your cabin. And don't count on having any syrup on your pancakes because it ain't going to happen. So
yeah, but we would embrace our manliness up there. And it was fun.
I'd like to have all that ammo that we just shot back.
Oh, my goodness. Yeah, we would walk out the back door, and there was a trap, like an automatic trap thrower, skeet thrower. And we would just throw, skeet and shoot skeet until the gun barrels were blazing. Like, we'd have a ball.
Yeah, and 30-06s and 308s.
Well, we wouldn't try to shoot.
I don't think you were there for that trip. We went up there with Mark Yost. I don't know if you ever met him. He went on the very first trip. He was in the Marines, so he came up packing some heavy artillery.
All right,
but the one gun that I did not like shooting up there were 22s because you would hear those rounds ricocheting all over that soil.
Yeah,
because they just beer. I said, I'm going to go inside the house. And it's stupid because it's like as if the house was going to stop a quick moving 22 caliber round from piercing, a trailer side and taking you out. But, it was like, well, I'm going to go inside now. You guys have fun with this. And
I would go out with the shotgun in the morning and just rabbit hunt within a stone's throw of the cabin.
Yeah.
And shoot like 3 or 4 rabbits. And God, no one shot rabbits up there, so they were the size of cats.
Yeah, and they were fast.
Yes, they were.
So I always remember that video that they shot of you rabbit hunting. Joe shot that video and the cooking show.
Right, where we did the cleaning and the cooking of the rabbit.
What's this wee shit? Are you French? I didn't do it. You were the one that did I'm not touching that.
Yeah, nobody. I guess maybe we weren't too manly, were we?
You were a little bit more manly than I am. Because I ain't eating rabbit, so,
That was good. It was really good.
Well, everything tastes like chicken. That's what they tell me. Frank Perdue's probably pretty pissed off. Oh, try this rattlesnake. It tastes like chicken. Oh, try this crocodile. It tastes like chicken. So what the hell does chicken taste like?
Chicken.
It makes you make you think you live in the Matrix. Everything's an illusion. You're just like, just make everything taste like chicken. No one will know.
Every meal was gluttonous. Like we would make a ton of food and we would just eat till you couldn't even move.
We ate as if they were going to stop making food tomorrow. So it's like, get it all in now because there ain't going to be any more after this. Just stuff in your face, drinking beer, laughing, farting, carrying on.
And the bitter Asian man would always try to make his pasta sauce, which had to be hotter and hotter every year until the last year when we could barely eat. We were sweating trying to eat it.
Yeah.
It was horrible.
Well, that's what Don had said. I would actually like to actually be able to eat this. This is like, I understand you might like a little bit of
a little bit of spices. Yeah, it's a little spice isn't bad, but when you're eating it and sweating and mopping your brow with a napkin.
That's not how Italian food is supposed to be. It's not.
That's why he's trying to Asian man.
Well, yeah, it just don't get me started. But it just totally ruined a meal. Yeah, you couldn't even, and it sat there. No one ate it after that.
No one could. You couldn't eat it.
Yeah, that's right. He was I think this is quite possibly the hottest,
I've ever made.
Yeah, because I'm too cool for the room. So, you guys are just uneducated bimbos. So you don't understand. Yeah, okay.
Have fun with that.
Right, yeah. Meanwhile, my dad owns an Italian restaurant. I'm going to pretty much go with how that works.
Right.
Because if we sold that slop in my dad's restaurant, they'd have ran us out of town.
Sure. Nobody.
This isn't spaghetti. What the hell is this?
It was the sauce. Right. The sauce was, he would just make it so hot. And again, he would make it, did he make it from scratch? He made it from scratch.
Yeah, he did make it from scratch. It was like walking into a tear gas had just been fired off because your throat started to get scratchy and our eyes were watering. I'm like, what the hell? What is that? We had no idea. It was him in there ruining the gravy. Yeah.
The bitter Asian man has been ruining the gravy.
Bitter Asian man.
I ran across, and you knew about this before, but I ran across the Heart Attack Grill. And I just want to kind of play this a little bit because we got to talk about this. I want to go to this place. But it's only in Vegas, but I want to go.
Restaurants having 3 customers suffer heart attacks after eating at the establishment would be a source of great concern and shame, something to be minimized.
It's a great source of concern and shame, something that should be minimized. Yes. Minimized. Because every restaurant is responsible for everybody's health, and we're not adults, and we can't make our own decisions on where we want to eat. We need to be spoon-fed.
Yeah, I love that sense of urgency in their voice.
We've got
it's the end of the world is coming because you actually went and had a cheeseburger.
If you eat here, you might die. And if you die, you'll be dead. Okay, all right, Dan, calm down a little bit, all right?
And explained away, but not at one spot where they actually promote how unhealthy it is, offering free meals to its most obese patrons.
Hey.
Even celebrating a death on the premises. It's aptly named the Heart Attack Grill. We sent ABC's Ryan Owens to check out their new digs in none other than Sin City.
Only Las Vegas does that go on, not Atlantic City, not Reno, no, Sin City.
I wish there was a Heart Attack Grill here. I would definitely go.
If he franchised that, I'm sure he would make a mint because there's a lot of people like us that don't care about this crap.
Right.
You know, I want to actually taste my food.
Yes. Let's continue.
In a country where calories are posted like warnings on restaurant menus, where unhealthy school lunches are under fire, and where our First Lady has a vegetable garden, there is an alternative reality. And it looks like this. This monument to greasy gluttony...
Almost there.
Almost done with this single bypass.
...is called the Heart Attack Grill. It's a defiant throwback to a pre-health-obsessed America. Hello. A kind of hospital-themed Hooters, located where else? Sin City. But as you're about to find out, eater beware. This restaurant can literally be hazardous to your heart.
All right. Again, if you're going to go out, it's a themed restaurant, basically. And he's right. It's like a medical Hooters because the girls are... the waitresses are in like naughty nurse outfits, right. And it's like the tilted kilt or a Hooters.
I don't know if you know this aspect of the nurse uniforms, but back when he first opened, real life nurses, legitimate nurses, actually lobbied against them when they were in Arizona, and they had to they are not allowed to wear actual nurse uniforms, so they had to move into like the sexy nurse outfits, okay, which plays better. But also they actually had to have disclaimers posted in the store, I believe, saying they're not actually real nurses. So like, yeah. So in other words, there's some statuesque Amazon in 6-inch heels and fishnet stockings with cleavage exposed. Does anyone really think that's a real nurse? I mean, it's a great fantasy.
It's a possibility, maybe.
Right. Yeah, but I mean, they actually came under fire from the nurses' union and the nurses, organizations about that. They were very, very upset about this.
Okay, so here's where let's get back into the story.
Remarkably, the owner says it's all done in the name of promoting good health.
One among us has to tell the truth, and that's what we're doing here.
Right, ladies?
The Heart Attack Grill prides itself on pushing limits, along with belt sizes. Diners must wear hospital gowns. People 350 pounds plus eat free.
Hey now.
Their flatliner fries, cooked in lard, are unlimited.
Okay, back in the day when they actually made real French fries and they tasted real good, they used lard. Mm-hmm. I mean, the only reason that they don't use it now is because of the fat content and saturated fat and stuff like that. They're trying to make everything healthier. But just because you can eat French fries cooked in lard once in a while, it's not a big deal. But they make it sound like you have to get everybody. If you eat here one time, you're going to die.
Yeah, you got one.
Jesus Christ!
Because you went in there, yeah. And now they're actually backing off on the lard aspect because it was all about the cholesterol and then the trans fats,
right,
which is a whole nother issue. But now they're actually saying
fat's not bad for you.
Studies that it's actually probably was better
than what they're using
cooking
now.
Stuff in lard instead of using the vegetable oil. I told you vegetables would kill you.
Thirsty? Try the all butterfat shake. Or maybe a shot of vodka served in a prescription pill bottle.
I mean, genius.
And new to this menu, a burger with 8 patties, almost 20,000 calories.
Shouldn't they be playing the theme from 2001? Boom, 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 boom.
That's the equivalent of nearly 40 Big Macs. Oh, and if you don't finish your meal, you get spanked by a nurse. She's not exactly a real RN. Her spankings are real hard. The restaurant and all of its repulsive excess seems right at home among the tourist traps in downtown Las Vegas. Its owner, perhaps the ultimate Vegas showman...
Are you going to finish your burger next time?
Yeah, I'll try.
...is John Basso. As part of his act, he likes to be called Dr. John.
Now breathe in for me.
It's a wonder they're not suing this guy for saying he's a doctor.
Again, I think he did. There was some kind of issue with that.
Well, he used to have, he was a physical trainer, and he used to own a bunch of gyms. But
this
seems to be more profitable for him.
Dr. John has become something of a superstar in the fast food world. In his trademark over-the-top way, he depicts himself as Jesus Christ at the Last Supper.
Okay, I got to go back to this Last Supper picture. So he's in the center. This guy is fantastic. And at the table is every mascot for every fast food place. It's the Taco Bell Chihuahua, the Star from Hardee's, Ronald McDonald, the Noid from
the Domino's Pizza,
Wendy
in the 1980s.
Yeah, it's hysterical.
Burger King's up there.
The Burger King's up there. Jack in the Box is up there. I mean, they're all there. The guy from the rat from Chuck E. Cheese. They're all there.
Oh, yeah.
The rat's in there, Chuck E. Cheese, and this guy's in the center is Jesus. So, I mean, he's having fun.
It's all tongue in cheek, and some people just take it too damn seriously.
Like, come on, and here's the other thing: how many restaurants do you think there are in Las Vegas?
Oh, there's got to be thousands of them.
Okay, and how many of them are like this? None. This is the only one. So why is this? I mean, don't get me wrong. All this story is making me want to do is go to Vegas. Like if I go to Vegas, this is my first
place you want to go to.
It's the first place I'm going.
Signing with the industry's other giants.
Now let's send this on out.
He's certainly come a long way since I first met him almost 3 years ago at his first Heart Attack Grill outside Phoenix, Arizona. Back then, the restaurant was under fire after its nearly 600-pound spokesman, Blair Rivers, died of obesity-related issues. He was just 29.
He was just 29. Right. And if he had never had a Heart Attack Grill burger, he'd still be here today.
Yeah. I'm going to go out on a limb here and assume that the Heart Attack Grill wasn't the only place this guy was eating. I mean, it's a shame that he died. Don't get me wrong.
And again, obesity is a real problem. And again, somebody who has the issue of obesity, which I do, it is something that you work on every day. But again, a place like this is not what's causing obesity. What causes obesity is everything that's in the supermarket that's in a box.
Right.
All right. And the way that the standard American diet is and how
everything is supersized now.
Everything is supersized. Everything.
Yeah. You and I were younger. If you wanted a large soda, you got a 12-ounce can of soda because back then the soda bottles, the classic Coke bottles were only 8 ounces of soda for single. Okay. So if you wanted a large one, you got a can. But then they moved up to 16-ounce bottles in glass. Well, just when I had bought my store, they moved up to 20. I can't drink 20 ounces of anything, except maybe beer, and that would take you a while. But, I mean, can you imagine? I don't even know how many calories are in a 20-ounce bottle of soda, but this is where everyone went. Everything is large.
Portions have gotten bigger.
Right.
Exactly.
There's an argument to be made that you used this guy during his life, and that now you are very morbidly using his death to continue to promote your restaurant.
I absolutely agree. And in a very sick way, his death has gotten the message out further.
So this man's death has not given you pause at all?
Zero pause.
Dr. John's Vegas location is double the size of his old place in Arizona. And his in-house fatality rate, it hasn't slowed a bit.
How many people have actually had heart attacks in the room that we're sitting in?
In the room that we're sitting in, we've had 3 heart attacks.
And how many people have died?
1. Now, I would like to say that the other 2 I did the grandest of favors for because they now uniquely and in a very real way understand their own genetic shortcomings. Now, the one that I couldn't save was a very dear friend of mine. And I want to tell you something. They'll say it's grotesque. They'll say, how can you keep the man's cremation here? And I'll tell you something. I am setting the bag on the table. And I challenge any other restaurant to set the bag on the table. I'm talking about a bag of truth, about what's not going to happen if you don't listen to me. This will happen. This was a good man with hopes and dreams who couldn't control his eating habits.
Inside this bag are the remains of yet another spokesman, John Ailman. He ate at the restaurant every day.
But people are actually dying.
Okay, well, they might have a case here. If this guy eats at the table every day and has a heart attack.
Wait. Okay. He ate there every day. Okay. Yes. All right. How many people has, like McDonald's would have over a billion served, they would roll the numbers up and everything like that. All right. How many people have actually eaten in the Heart Attack Grill and have died? I mean, is it fair to say that this guy has probably served millions of people at this point because he's in Las Vegas?
Right.
And they cherry-picked 2 people. I mean, I'm sure there's people that eat at McDonald's every single day.
Well, they had that documentary where that guy, he was trying to eat at McDonald's every day, and he got so sick he almost died. They had to stop.
Well, those numbers were actually refuted also. There's a lot of skepticism on that part. But if you eat too much of anything,
that's true.
It's not going to be good.
Yes.
But what I'm saying, I mean, there's people that probably eat at Chick-fil-A every day. Chick-fil-A is awesome. I mean, I love Chick-fil-A.
I'm not a big fan, but go ahead. I understand what you're saying.
No matter what, let's go to those establishments and say, hey, have you had any customers die here?
Have you ever had a customer have a heart attack?
I mean, this is like really just it's a witch hunt against this guy. They hate the guy because he's successful and
he revels in it. And he you know what he does? He thumbs his nose at the establishment and everybody else by doing
and that's exactly what they can't stand.
They can't stand that.
So
because
that's
they
kind of
won't
where
get him to kowtow to them.
Exactly.
the gig has to stop. What do you say?
People are dying. People will continue to die. Can they just stop, pause, and reflect upon the food for thought that I'm selling? It's not hamburgers, it's not t-shirts, it's not french fries. I'm selling you food for thought and a good laugh. Let's all have a good time. But let's really digest this. Let's think a bit, or we're going to end up exactly like my friend in the bag.
Until then, Dr. John is the first to admit heart attacks are part of his business model.
When there are lights and sirens outside and they're bringing some person out on a gurney, you're basically in the back room counting money at that point.
Absolutely. Was that heart attack good for business? Did that heart attack pad my wallet with money? Absolutely. Did I enjoy that? Absolutely. I'm a businessman first and foremost. Let's be clear about something. I'm not peddling hamburgers to small children without parental guidance. These are adults purchasing a legal substance from me. I want one and only one thing. I want my message out there loud and clear. I am a believer that when people hear my message, the net health benefit to society is incredibly good.
It's true that before he served up artery-clogging, gut-churning meals, he ran fitness clubs and diet centers. But real nutritionists aren't buying a word out of this fake doctor's mouth.
It sounds to me like he's appealing to very base instincts.
Duh.
And certainly playing into people's enormous resentment about being told what to eat.
Hold on, Deuce. I'll give you a chance. Okay, your turn.
Duh.
He's making a living and making money doing this. Obviously, there are people who really respond to this, and he's marketing to them.
Here's the thing. Our restaurant serves bad-for-you food. Other restaurants serve bad-for-you food. We're honest, they're not. Plain and simple, if everybody collectively got together and told the world all restaurant food is bad for you, then maybe we would save a few lives. Because I don't want to see people dead. Now, if they do die here, I'm not going to lie to you. That's great for business. I'll say it again. Death is great for business at the Heart Attack Grill.
Somehow, in the 3 years since we first met, Dr. John has found a way to be even more exploitive.
My favorite part.
He recently hired a very short nurse who speeds around in a mini ambulance delivering beers.
Coming to Hag has its perks.
Mike's my hero.
He also found a new spokesman for the restaurant. 460-pound Mike Lee just suffered his first heart attack, but he's still alive and chilling.
How you doing on the program, Mike?
Great.
And while people keep dying, the Heart Attack Grill keeps thriving.
We've both doubled in terms of money, in terms of square footage, but we've exponentially grown when you want to talk about extending the message.
Dr. John hopes to continue to grow and expand his morbid message to an even bigger audience, perhaps in a city near you.
You're fine, son. Keep eating.
I'm Ryan Owens for Nightline in Las Vegas.
There you go.
Yeah. So, now, the one thing that they just said there, how many people have died at the Heart Attack Grill? 2, right?
No, 1. They've had 3 heart attacks. 1 person died.
Okay. And it said, well, people keep dying.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
it's a falsehood.
That's it's so disingenuous because they make it sound like they're just carting people like in that old Monty Python movie. Bring out your dead.
Bring out your dead.
Like one person died.
Yeah, and again, he's telling you, look, this food's not good for you. It's not going to, if you come out and eat it once or twice, it's not going to kill you.
Yeah, it does look delicious.
It does. The 8 burger, first of all, I don't think anybody could eat. I can eat, but there's no way I can eat that much.
I could probably maybe do the triple bypass.
Right.
You have to go to this guy's website and see the pictures of these burgers. Are monstrous. The quadruple bypass would be like no way. Now he's got it up to like
8.
Yeah, he's doubled that. You don't have enough veins in your body to do it.
Right.
To do that.
And the midget
Lola, isn't her name?
Yeah, you know what? I think they really missed it there. I think her name should have been Midge.
Yeah, you think? Well, the other thing is, I don't know if I assume they still are doing it. At the Arizona location, if you were able to eat a quadruple bypass, the nurse that served you pushed you out to your car in a wheelchair. I would love to see this little 3'11" midget push like a 400-pound guy out in a wheelchair. I don't think it's going to happen.
She would need like an electric one. Hey,
she would have to drive a front end loader to do.
You know what she should do? She should take that little mini hospital ambulance thing she drives around serving beers in, hook it to the wheelchair, and drag the guy out into the parking lot.
It is very Vegas looking. He's got the neon lights going on. The hell with the gambling. I just want to go there.
I know. You know what it looks like, to be honest with you? It looks like a ripoff of the Hollywood Grill. But I would love to go there. I would love to just go and just experience the whole thing. And yes, it's not good for me. I understand that. But you know what? So what? It's not going to kill me.
Yeah, it's a little like you said, have a laugh. It's just weird how like everything has changed, because if he opened this up 30 years ago, everyone would have been like falling down laughing. It was hysterical.
Yeah, but now we're all politically correct. Oh,
right.
That's horrible. What about I thought they were going to go into the thing because there was a kid in there who was about 12 years old and he was eating a hamburger.
Yeah.
The children. The children.
Well, that's the first thing they hide behind is the children. But his parents brought it. That kid didn't just wander in off the street. I'm sure this kid is.
He didn't Uber over.
Yeah, I don't know how much this food costs, but I'm going to assume that a burger of that size has got to cost $10-15.
I wonder if they have the pricing on there. Give me a second.
Yeah, it's like through the magic of Google and our crack research team, John Buchanan is quickly like.
All right, so how much do you think the triple bypass burger is? Just the burger, not with the bacon, because if you want to add 15.
I know what it looks like, and it's about 9 or 10 inches tall. And it's 3 patties and all that. I would have to say that burgers, I'm going to guess it's about $15.
$13.
Okay. So
and if you wanted it with the bacon, the 15 slices of bacon, it is $16.
Right.
Okay.
No, that's how I would want it, because I have to have meat with my meat.
And the octuple bypass burger, which is 8, with 40 slices of bacon, is how much do you think that would be?
It's got to be close to $50.
$30.
Really?
So it's not even that bad.
Well, that's a bargain. Because, you and I could go in there and get that and split it. Where else are you going to consume 10,000 calories for $15? And that buttermilk shake sounds awesome.
Right. Okay. So now they give you half a vodka Jello shot, which is in a syringe, $5.09. A big giant 40 of Sam Adams lager. How much do you think that would be?
Well, I know drinks in Vegas are cheaper than here in Jersey. I'm going to say it's probably about $3.
All right, so it's $5 there.
Okay, how big is it? How many ounces is it?
It's a 40. It's a 40-ounce can.
That's very, very cheap.
Sure, it is
for 40 ounces, because a 16-ounce pint in a bar here is going to cost you about anywhere from $3.50 to $4.50.
Oh my God, they have T-shirts too. I would love. I might have to just order one of these T-shirts.
Yeah. I'm sure they have it online, right?
Sure.
What are they, bright red?
Okay, so you can get flatliner fries with chili and cheese for $5. This place is a bargain.
I got to go there.
You have to go there.
I got to take the red eye just to go out there and eat there, take the red eye back, be back to work the next day.
That would be hysterical. All right, so they have a vegan menu. Okay.
Oh, I know what that is.
It's
I'm all in favor of that.
Unfiltered cigarettes.
Right. Any filters, you wussy. You know.
All right. And if
Lucky Strikes, Camels, and Chesterfields, I'm guessing.
Camels, Marlboro, and Lucky Stripes.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, see, Marlboros have filters on them. Well, you got the whole cowboy.
Right, there you go. That's true. Butterfat milkshake. How much is the butterfat milkshake?
That's probably about $8.
$6.
Okay.
It's not bad.
No, it's not.
Wow.
And it's buttermilk, so it's nice and rich and fattening and thick and delicious.
Yeah. Oh, my God.
The way they're supposed to be. Not like that Mr. Softy crap that we talked about the other day. This guy is the best. I mean, that music just sends me.
I'm sorry, man.
I didn't know you still had that line around. Residual Softy.
Mr. Softy still. Yeah.
Yeah, why can't you just go there, lighten up America, have fun? You know, if you go there once in your life, it's not, contrary to what Ryan tells you, it's not going to kill you.
That is true. All right. Well, if anybody's gone to the Heart Attack Grill and wants to reach out and tell us what it was like, let us know. You know, go to social media. We have either on Facebook or, check us out on Twitter and tell us what you thought about the Heart Attack Grill. I'm dying to know. I want to go. I wish they would have somewhere else. The Twitter.
Yeah, I'd like to go too. I haven't been in Vegas in years.
I've never been to Vegas. That is.
Oh, you've never been to Vegas?
No, and I'm a poker player, so I've always wanted to go to.
I'm not a gambler, and I've been to Vegas. Vegas is something to see.
So now, our next thing here is I don't know anything about this. You put this up here. It's called Back in the Day at DBK. So, me, I can't be outdone. I have to do something. So I have, wait a minute. I have this for this segment.
Back in the Day at DBK.
What do you think?
Okay. That's pretty good. It's like a nice bumper there.
All right.
We used to call a bumper back in the day.
Yeah. Okay. So to bring everybody up to speed, when I went to college at Camden County College,
Camden County Community
College, like there's not enough season there already.
Right.
So the radio station was WDBK at FM frequency 91.5. And so we used to, I actually was the station manager back in 1988. And so that's where we met. So you have a story. Is that what's going on here? I don't have any idea. So I'm just.
Basically what it was, just to follow up, I just hanging out at the station, and I was a student there briefly, and they needed an oldies guy. Mm-hmm. You were the oldies guy.
That's true.
And basically the prerequisite was, do you have the records and do you have the 45s?
Right.
Which I did. So I became the oldies guy, and then later on the top 40 spot opened up, and I got Tuesday night. You were on Monday night. I was on Tuesday night. But anyway, I was driving around, and I have satellite radio, which I think most people do. I don't know if you do or not. Do you have?
I used to have it, but to be honest with you, it cost so much money, and not just the subscription cost. It was like the radios were horrible. They were breaking. I had them stolen out of my car. And then again, with Howard, he was, on less and less, because the only reason I had satellite radio was to listen to Howard Stern. And when he first got there, he was on fire. It was some of the best radio I've ever heard. And then now, I don't know. Just to me, it's not worth it.
Well, if you buy a General Motors car, it basically comes with the radio.
Okay.
And they have the decade channels. Okay. Mm-hmm. So you have 70s on 7, 80s on 8, 90s on 9. So anyway, I was driving around and I'm listening to like 80s on 8. And if a hit song came up at that time of the period that we were on, like, a DBK song.
Okay. Yeah, that's true. I do that too. Yeah. Okay.
And so I was driving around one day and I just hit these series of songs that were hits at the time, but for whatever reason, they just really didn't hold up.
Okay.
Like there's this, and then of course we always had an artist that we didn't particularly care for, but you had to play them because we were a top 40 station and we had to play. You and I were on from 7 to 10, and that's when the top 10 would get played.
Right.
So, and we staged it throughout, whatever. But I'm like listening to some of these songs. I'm like, oh, this song is horrible. And at the time, like you might have been like crazy for it. It was just like, and then you had to contend with other personalities there. And one person, you were on to something the other day, and we were talking about Pirate Radio.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Okay. And what that was, we had two studios, Studio A and Studio B. Studio A was where the primary broadcasting went from. And if there was ever a problem, you could patch around that.
to Studio B, which was the production studio.
Right. So one day, Barb Cruz decided that she was going to thwart your will as general manager. And
right.
she decided in April that she needed to hear Father Christmas by the Kinks. Okay.
Because everybody does.
Right. And yeah, right. Why not? But it was just like, it was like a big FU.
Right.
Man. I'm going to play that. Right.
And so she was going to say, I'm going to play Father Christmas and you're not going to be able to do anything. And she locked herself in the studio from what I remember.
Exactly.
Right.
And you got that look, and I've seen that. Like, you set your jaw like, I mean, it was like you had no lips. Like, your mouth was closed so tight, and you locked that jaw, and then you got that one unibrow thing going. You're like, oh, yeah? So the next thing I know, John's in her, and he's pulling plugs and fuses out, and he's patching around, and she doesn't know that she's not on the air.
Well,
she has
everything in there is
carts back then.
Well, yeah, but not only that, but she can hear what's going on there, but she doesn't hear what's going in.
Right, she can hear what's going on in the studio,
but
she doesn't know what's transmitting. And she's assuming she's transmitting.
Right, and what happened was back then you had these patch cords, which were actually like 1 1/4 inch cords, like with plugs,
like headphone jacks
that you could take and you could put into the transmitter to go from one studio to the other. Right. So they're in there laughing at me.
Right.
And I'm over
the whole
there.
time she's got Father Christmas in the cart, but she's playing
something else. And she's
a required song.
Because she's going to play it next.
Oh, you patched around that like in record time. And I was like amazed. It was like watching a surgeon. It was like, like, and I was like, well, I don't know what the hell these
all barking orders. Someone get in the Studio B and get a song on a turntable.
And it was like perfect because we're listening to what's being broadcast. And just as the song that Barb is playing is fading out, you throw that switch and you're like, Barb Cruz thinks that she's about to broadcast Father Christmas from the Kinks, but she is sadly mistaken. Welcome to 91.5 WDBK. And then you played a bumper like lightning strikes or whatever. And we went right into whatever song that you had queued up that was a top 40 required song, So she's in there. Meanwhile, she's in there rocking. She's headbanging her head. Her hair's flailing all over the place. The headphones are flying off. She thinks she's playing Father Christmas by the Kinks. And you're standing there in the clear window because there was the window from the engineering room to Studio A.
Right.
And you're standing there with your like arms crossed, like legs akimbo, like a Viking. You just conquered North America. And, you're just like going like this. And she's like all quizzical. And he says, you're not playing Father Christmas. And she says, yes, I am. And then you're like, finally, we got her out of the studio. And she was like furious that you thwarted her plan, And it's like, she wasn't on the air much longer after that anyway, because I think she was leaving. Not that she got thrown off for that, but she was leaving.
It was like her last.
Right. I'm going to be the rebel without a job.
Right.
And that's what her thing was. But there was like so many. Remember, we used to all run away like when Irv would come in. Irv was the engineer.
Yeah, he was a little tiny short guy. He was balding and very, very grumpy. But the thing about him was, he had put up with a lot of nonsense that went on in that studio, in that radio station, and
over the years.
And
God knows.
Yeah, so he. Oh God, I don't even know if he's still alive. But anyhow, I loved Irv. He was grumpy, but he was fair. And what I did one day was they used to give the station money, and he would save it. He would squirrel it away. And what would happen is at the end of the year, whatever money that the radio station didn't spend, they would take back. Well, we've got like these old microphones and old turntables. I mean, everything was from the 60s. And we're in the – I mean, everything was 20 years old. And finally I said to Irv, we're going to spend some of this money. He goes, well, what happens if something happens to the transmitter? That's expensive. And if we need to get back on the air again. I said, Irv, if you don't have any money, you know what happens in these schools? They make an emergency thing and they fund it. They just fund it. So let's spend some money. So we went, we got RE 320 microphones, 4 of them for each, 2 for the main studio, 2 for the production studio. We went out and got brand new turntables. We went out and got brand new cart machines. I mean, it was like
4 cart machines, 2 turntables. And then we had the cassette.
Right. And it was like Christmas in there. We're unwrapping stuff. We're like, woo!
Yeah.
It was great. I couldn't talk him into a whole new studio board, but, that's what we did. So We did. We upgraded the studio, and it sounded so much better. Well, again, it was a mono FM station.
100 watts.
Yeah, it wasn't no big deal, but it sounded pretty good for a college radio
the record companies used to think we were legit because remember all the records we used to get?
Okay, well,
posters.
Well,
because the way we presented ourselves.
Well, no, that was Chuck, and Chuck knew what he did was he didn't promote it as a college radio station. He just promoted it as a radio station. They had no idea. So they're shipping us all promotional top 40 and albums. Yeah, and albums and everything new. I mean, it would come before it would come out. We would have everything. It was amazing.
I've got a couple of albums from that. One, I forget what the other one is, but one is the first Traveling Wilburys album.
I bet you that's worth money.
And what it has the gold embossed stamp on it that says, this album is not for sale. It is for promotional usage only to be played at the radio station.
I bet you that's worth more money.
I still have that. And I have another album, but I forget which artist it is. So it was like, we used to get all kinds of stuff. Then it was like I said, crap that we didn't like to play. Like, till this day, I hate that goddamn Bobby McFerrin song, Don't Worry, Be Happy.
Oh, really? Okay.
That song just would not die. Even Bobby McFerrin stopped playing it in concert. He hated it. It's like,
how can you hate a song that makes you all that kind of money?
Oh, I just hate it. And then there was that dude named Scrappy, and you and I were in the studio the one day, and we were just talking over Bobby McFerrin when you say, don't worry.
Be Scrappy.
Scrappy. We would say beat Scrappy, burn Scrappy, kill Scrappy. And I never even met the guy. It was just, but apparently he left a bad taste in everybody's mouth at that time.
Well, what happens is kids come into college and they're 19 years old and they know everything, and they're going to come in and it's their first chance to really be independent and stuff like that. And they come to the radio station and they know everything, and they're going to, and then one of the reasons that when I got there, Chuck, he had the idea to use top 40, and before all college radio stations would play alternative music. And I used to always say alternative to what? Good music? Yes. So the thing with alternative music was you could get it, like they would send it to you because nobody else was playing it. So all college radio stations played alternative music, and all college kids loved alternative music. But we used to use the radio station as a tool for people that wanted to get into radio, into broadcasting. So we thought that, well, I should stop saying we because it wasn't me. It was done before I got there. Chuck thought that if you used top 40, everybody knew top 40 music. Like, I didn't know what The Cure was back then, and I didn't know half those horrible bands that were played back then. I didn't know any of them.
Well, that was it, because when you think about it, we were there.
It was the golden age of WDBK.
Well, there was a tectonic shift coming in music, though we didn't know it, because when we were there, think about what was on the charts. On the top 40 charts at that time, you had Def Leppard.
Right.
You had The Cure. You had Madonna. You had DJ Jazzy Jeff and the Fresh Prince. You had Salt and Pepper. So this was just before grunge came in the early 90s and before the gangster rap really took in. So there was like such a diversity. Bon Jovi was huge. Bruce Springsteen, of course, he's always popular, though I never particularly.
Right. Rock and roll was dying.
Right. But there was a lot out there. There was a lot of genres. You mentioned The Cure.
Right.
And we didn't know that within a year after, like, we had left, or within 2 years, it was all totally unrecognizable. Like, top 40, like, really kind of disappeared.
Yeah, I guess. And even today, there's so many different genres of music. And that's great. I mean, I like that. But to me, like I said, when we went to do radio, I wanted to be able to have somebody be able to say, okay, I recognize this song. I can play this song. And also, we were trying to build listenership. And we did. We had everybody that was in the area listening because there was no commercials. We used to read 2 PSAs an hour, and that was it. And it was all music. So you couldn't listen to a radio station and hear more music than you could hear at the college radio station. So it was a lot of fun. And to be honest with you, it is really the reason that we're sitting here right now recording this podcast. That kind of brings me to our next segment, which is iTunes reviews. The best thing you can do for a podcaster is go to iTunes and give them a review. Now, the reason podcasters want reviews is simple. It's real easy. Is basically what happens is if they get a lot of reviews, then iTunes takes that information. And so when you look at a podcast and it says, like, say you're looking for a comedy podcast and you find a well-known comedy podcast, it says listeners that like this also like these podcasts.
Okay.
So the reviews help you get on that kind of list. Now, to me, I got to be honest with you. I don't care about reviews. I mean, I love getting reviews. I do. But I'm not really going to ask people to review my show. I guess I do, but it's not a real big deal for me. So what podcasters do, and this really kind of pisses me off and gets under my skin, is they do what's called a review swap. Hey, you review my podcast, I'll review your podcast. I'll give you a 5-star review if you give me a 5-star review. Any podcasters are listening to this right now, anybody from the Podder family, I'm sorry, I don't do review swaps. If you want to do review swaps, do review swaps. I'm not going to say you shouldn't do review swaps, although you shouldn't, but that's up to you. You know what I mean? Everybody does their own thing, and that's why I love podcasting. So if that's what you want to do, that's fine. To me, it's cheating. It's gaming the systems. So we got a tweet on the Twitter.
That's what.
It was from Brandon, and Brandon says, I have a podcast. Could use help on iTunes reviews. I gave your show a 5-star review. Please review mine. Thanks. So his podcast.
Now, when did this all happen?
This was
just kind of bubbled up.
It was on May 19th is when he did this. Well, again, I don't do that. Brandon, I actually went and listened to your show, and I didn't write a review because I wanted to, get my thoughts together and write you an honest review. All right, because you only have like 9 episodes out, and you have to take that into account and everything. But so I went today to look at the reviews, and Brandon's review is not there anymore.
Wait. His review of
our show,
your show, or our show, because I know you do a couple.
Our show is not there anymore.
So he pulled it back.
He pulled it back because I didn't review his. He pulled his review back. And Brandon, I want to tell you right now, thank you for pulling that review back, because I don't want it. Because obviously, if you want to pull it back because I didn't review your show, then you didn't listen to my show. And I only want people that listen to my show to review. So if you are listening right now and you say, hey, you know what, these guys are kind of funny, and I enjoy them, and I love getting lost with them for an hour and a half a week, and listen to their nonsense, then by all means go over to iTunes and just search Brand X Podcast. It pops right up there, and then you can review the show. Actually, we actually got a legitimate review.
Oh, great.
Okay, so let me read you what a legitimate iTunes review sounds like. All right. So this is the title of this review is John and Deuce Rock. So dudes, listen up. It's a 5-star review, and it's by The Walking Deb. And Deb listens to the other podcast I do is the Off in the Weeds podcast. And she came over and gave this a try, which thank you, Deb. I really appreciate it. So
yes, thank you.
So she says, John, I've been listening to you and Jess on Off in the Weeds and laugh my head off every time. So I decided to give Brand X a try. You guys sound great together. The only 2 episodes, and I see great things evolving. Since I'm a chick, I may not get all the guy humor, but very entertaining nonetheless. Keep it up. And dudes, here are 2 regular guys swapping stories and history. You will fit right in, kind of like a group of guys hanging out on a Friday night. Thank you. Because you know what happens? Wow, she caught the essence of this show. And Deb, thank you so much for this review. Now,
absolutely. Thank you very much.
Yeah. Now, Brandon, I don't want just somebody to come on and say, hey, listen, I'll review you if you review me. But since you asked for a review, I will give you a legitimate review. Would you like to review a podcast right now?
One that I've never heard?
Yeah. Would you like to do a one? Let's just do one right now. You want to do that?
No. All right. I'll follow your lead.
Okay, here we go.
Tell what you're doing here.
All right. So if you go to the Survivalist Podcast, and you can find them at survivalistpodcast.org, you go there and have a very nice site. And I'm looking at your logo, and he has like 3 boards that are rough cut, and he has
okay.
Yeah, go ahead over while you're to Survivalist.
Yeah, I see what you got.
Okay.
Yeah, it looks like sort of like a ammo trunk.
Yeah, there you go. That's exactly what it looks like. And then the only thing that I have that I don't like is the Living Life Better and More Prepared is in a blue, and it's real small, so it's kind of hard to see at first. Like you have to really bear down and look to see what that is. So if maybe you can make that a little bit bigger. But I'm looking at your site. You got the RSS feed, and follow us on iTunes and subscribe on iTunes. And you've got, I like your website. I like it. And you have some video on there, and you have some art work, and I'm liking the site.
I'll have to give it a listen to it.
All right. Well, you know what?
Yeah,
because this is kind of up your alley too, right?
Yeah. Well,
you know what?
It is now. I'm a podcaster.
Let's do this. Let's listen to it right now. Hang on.
All right, folks, for the download button on the Survivalist Podcast. You can find all of our old episodes at survivalistpodcast.org and on our Twitter, Survivalist Pod, and you can find us on Facebook, facebook.com/survivalistpodcast. And I want to thank everybody, by the way, as always, for rating and reviewing the show. We're up to, I believe, 37 Facebook reviews. iTunes reviews.
Liar, liar, pencil fire.
And I get a lot of positive feedback on the show. A lot of people are really digging the show and stuff like that. So I really do appreciate all of that. So
can you pause that for a second?
Sure, I'll pause it. Go ahead. What's up?
How long is this podcast? I mean, how long is he running? Do you got a time count on that?
He's got it's 33:48.
Okay, so he's got on my limited. I mean, I listen to about 5 podcasts myself now,
right?
And so he's in there. He's under the hour,
right?
So
I'm going to move it up a little bit. Let's see if we can listen to a little bit more here. I'm going to move it up.
Okay.
I'm going to move into 6 minutes in. Let's see what it sounds like 6 minutes in.
It's an investment in later on in life. I'm preparing for my daughter to go to college. I'm preparing for my wife and I to retire. I'm preparing. Again, this is part of being prepared, folks. You know, this is all part of prepping. It's not just when, what do they all say, the shit hits the fan. Okay, prepping is being prepared for later on in life, whether it's fun.
Okay. Now, I should really preface this by saying that the title of this podcast is Investing in the Stock Market. All right. And, he has a player on his website. All right. So now I'm going to do a little bit of a review on the podcast from just what I'm listening to right now. One thing that I hear that you could really use is some editing. And we all do it. We stutter and we and we repeat ourselves.
Cough,
sneeze. And one other thing is you're really up on there and you're really popping on this. If only listen to this, listen to the peeps popping here.
Finances or anything like that. Okay? It's part of it. So I strongly recommend that. One of the companies, now some companies aren't going to be doing as well as they did. Now, 8 years ago when the iPhone came out and Steve Jobs was the CEO of Apple, I would tell you right now, go out and buy yourself as much Apple stock as you can possibly get your hands on. Okay? That's what I would tell you to do. Today, I wouldn't tell you to do that because Apple stock has came way down from almost $500 a share down to like $90, $100 a share. So Apple's came down quite a bit. They're not the dominant they were in 2008, 2009, 2010. And you being somebody who's buying stock is going to have to keep an eye on that company.
All right, so I can hear that peep. His P's and his B's are really popping. So
people don't feel comfortable with that. You could check out the commodity market, which is a little bit different, where you're not buying pieces of a company. You're actually dealing in physical goods, so it's a little bit easier to sometimes understand. And what happens is, so say you buy, $1,000 worth of corn, okay? And now, you're actually dealing in physical items. Not that you can actually get $1,000 worth of corn delivered to your house after you buy it, but dealing with it, sometimes it's a little bit easier for people to understand because they don't deal with stock splitting, stock dividends, stuff like that. You're actually dealing with physical, commodities. So something that you can definitely think about if you say.
All right. So again, being a podcaster myself and loving the craft and loving the podcast, I think you have a great niche. I mean, preppers and survivalists, it's an up and coming niche. And, some of the stuff you have, how to find north using a solar navigational wilderness survivor skills. There's a video for that. Surviving a mortgage, generators, prepping for unemployment.
And he's got how many? 9?
It looks like he has 9.
Okay.
All right. And he has some blog posts in there, book reviews and stuff like that. So again, I think for 9 podcasts, I think you're doing really good. One thing I would say is editing would be good. And you have some like background noise. It sounds like you might have run a noise reduction software on there. And if you run it too much to try to drag out too much, you actually put more into it where you get that like a Xylon effect on your,
like a gray noise.
Yeah. It's like you get like a on your S's and stuff. You put an effect on your own voice. So you might want to pull some of that back and maybe do some editing, get some of them long pauses, and maybe see for me, my problem is that I have a hard time, and you'll get better with this at time because it takes time to learn how to vamp and talk off the cuff. A lot of people just can't go on it. So I need a lot of notes. As Deuce will tell you, we have huge amount of notes that we have on here, and we write things out and stuff like that. So it's easier for me to not get lost and start stammering. Not that I don't anyhow, but it actually
it grounds you.
Yeah, it does, and it gets you to move on. Yeah, and not that I'm very good at moving. One of my biggest problems is transitions because we go on and on and on about things. But I a lot of that I take care of on an editing. What was the last show we did? Raw recording was an hour and a half,
right?
And I got it down to an hour by cutting out of a lot of rambling and stuff.
Yeah, it's about an hour.
So I'm cutting 33% of our content to get it to an hour and to kind of shorten it up and get it, listenable. Because again, the people that are here listening to this podcast, I feel honored that you pushed play, that you pushed subscribe, that you're sitting here listening right now. I love that.
Well, that's it too, because an hour and a half might be great for you and I because everything we say means something.
Oh.
But then you have to be able to sit back and say, you know what? Do we really need this segment? Like one of the things that you cut out one time was my description about driving down the road. And it was like, we don't need that. It doesn't mean anything to somebody across the country.
Well, when you speak, you paint a picture. That's just the way you are. And I love that about you. But you know what? People
but it's
driven
too
down
much
the road.
Sometimes.
People driven down the road. They know what driving down the road
exactly.
looks like. So what
we might think it's relevant, but
right. So I pull some of that out.
Right. And you're good at that.
Well, thank you. But again, I love the website. I think that you would do better with some editing and, some audio processing. And if you want to get a hold of me, Brandon, because when I tweet you back on the Twitter, I'm going to tell you to listen to this episode. So hopefully you've listened. And if you want to get a hold of me, John Buchanan, JOHNBUKENAS on Twitter, get a hold of me and maybe we can have a talk and maybe I can help you out with some of the stuff because I'm a podcaster and I'm all about helping other podcasters make their podcast better. But if you just want to do a podcast swap for swap because you want to give me a 5-star review, if I give you a 5-star review, I'm sorry. I'd just rather have one Debbie review because it's honest and she listens to the show and we moved her to come and actually write a review. I'll take one of those over 500 swap for swap reviews. But I appreciate it, Brandon. Now I can't get back to my notes.
Because you got 17 windows open.
I have 17 windows open. Right. But no, thank you very much for not reviewing our show. And then hopefully you wanted to review. And you know what? I will actually go to iTunes now and I will review the show, but I will give you an honest review. And then we'll go from there. And anybody else wants to give an honest review of this show. And again, it doesn't have to be 5 stars. You tell us what you think because I love all that stuff.
And more importantly, thank you, Deb.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Awesome.
I love that.
It's like you said, you never forget your first.
Never forget your first. Deb, you'll always be our first. All right. Well, listen, thank you so much for listening to the Brand X podcast. We really appreciate it. And we would love to know what you think. So please connect with us on social media and let us know your thoughts. We are on Facebook at facebook.com/BrandX podcast. We're on the Twitter at brand_X_podcast. And if you're listening from your phone, just go to the show notes right there and the links are there for you. It's real easy peasy. So come on back next week for another episode of Brand X.
Thank you very much. See you later. That's what I just said.
Okay. It's true. I tried to watch it too, but it was really tough because isn't this where you're supposed to bust in and do your thing?
Yeah, do it again because I closed the screen. No.
Good thing we don't do this shit live.
Yeah, wouldn't that suck?
And the bitter chink would have to make his spaghetti sauce, which would get hotter and hotter every year. No, we don't call him the bitter chink. What do we call him?
Bitter Asian man.
Oh, okay.